guys, Frightener22 here, and welcome back to day 14 of my 31 Frightening Days of Halloween Marathon. So then we're going to take a look at 1991's The Addams Family. Now this was the feature film adaptation of the television series from the 1960s, and this movie is actually really solid. It was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, this actual film was his directorial debut, and he would go on to direct the 1993 sequel, Addams Family Values, in addition to such films as Get Shorty, Men in Black, Wild Wild West, and most recently RV in 2006. Now, this film stars the likes of Raul Julia as Gomez Addams, Angelica Houston as Morticia Addams, the great Christopher Lee playing Fester Addams, in addition to Christina Ricci playing Wednesday Addams. Now, like I said, this film is really solid. It juggles that really great, wonderful line of taking a classic television series and making that jump to the big screen and paying enough debt and respect to the original, but still making a really unique and original feature film story on its own. So the story that the film adaptation takes on deals with Fester Addams, Gomez's brother in the film version, has been away from the family house and lost all contact with the family for about 25 years now. And Gomez has always felt really guilty because the reason that he had left the house was due to a fight that they had years prior. So it isn't until that the Addams Family lawyer realizes that Fester is the oldest member of the family, so if he is found, then he would regain the whole house and all the fortune that came along with the Addams Family estate. In addition, the Addams Family lawyers actually owes a lot of money to a former client, and they're looking to get paid up. It's a woman and her son. And so the Addams Family lawyer, in addition to his clients that are demanding their money, hatch a plan to make the client's son Fester in order to regain all of the fortune. So that's pretty much the whole gist of the story, is that it's all about Fester, this imposter Fester regaining the love and trust of his once loved family in order to get the fortunes of the estate. But lo and behold, as the story unfolds, it turns out that it really is actually the real Fester Addams by strange coincidences, and it just turned out that he had amnesia from the Bermuda Triangle and whatnot. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much the gist of the story. And like I said, this film is really spot on. I mean, I specifically remember growing up loving this movie in 1991, and all throughout my childhood, anytime it was on television, I would sit my ass down and watch it each and every time. The casting in this is really phenomenal. They really got a really diverse and wonderful cast to bring all these great characters that you grew up loving from the comic strips and the original television series into the modern world by the likes of Raul Julia and Angelica Houston, who played their parts beautifully. I mean, it was spot on. Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester was just, it almost seemed like when you would have probably heard that announcement back in the early 90s, it probably would have seemed like, well, I don't really know about that, but after seeing this film and further, and in addition, the sequel as well, you really couldn't imagine a better Fester Addams. I mean, Christopher Lloyd is just incredible in this. The other really great casting choice in this is the young Christina Ricci, and she is just phenomenal. Just really, she's young and she's creepy and dark and really embodies that that really great oddness that was Wednesday. So she's really spot on in this role. I couldn't have imagined a more perfect Wednesday Addams for the film. The special effects in this film are actually really good for their time. I mean, the way that they created thing with the hand and everything, it was just really cool, just really phenomenal for its time period. You always get the great the cool appearances of Cousin It as well, with the long hair and stuff, so that's really great. Another incredible thing that I have to note in this review is just the wonderful set design of this film. I mean, the house is just really, really incredible. From what I understand, they actually built that house, the Addams Family house, in the film for $100,000. And when you think about that, that's incredibly cheap by today's standards. Just incredibly cheap, considering once you see the film and seeing how incredible it truly does look. Some further notes to actually add. This film was actually co-written by Carolyn Thompson, who was a big Tim Burton collaborator. She worked with him on Edward Scissorhands, as well as The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I had just recently found out that Tim Burton was originally set to direct the Addams Family film, but for some reason it didn't happen. I couldn't find any more information about that, but I found that really surprising because I had never known that, so I would like to try and find out more as to why, what happened at that time period, as to why that, his directing duties on that never became fully realized. But nonetheless, with Burton or without Burton, you really get a really, great solid film that pays enough respect and debt to, its original television show that it was brought upon. It's just a really, really funny film. I mean, I think it's definitely family worthy, but there's definitely, by today's standards, I'm sure people would probably argue that it's probably not so much for families, but, I'm going to say I would argue that it's definitely a fun family film, but there's a lot of cool, really, really funny, dark humor in it for adults, and just across the board, just really morbid and gloomy, dark humor, which is phenomenal. I mean, like, I hadn't watched this movie in years, before tonight, where I had to review it for the marathon, and I just, completely rediscovered, my love for this film. It really is, really, really funny, and I mean, just the set design to the casting is just really, really phenomenal, just incredible. And although I may be kind of biased on this as to why I really love the Addams Family, I mean, I love everything the Addams Family represents, the whole spirit behind them and everything. So when I say that I come off maybe slightly biased, it's because the creator of the Addams Family, Charles Addams, was actually born and raised in my town, and he was actually inspired to create the Addams Family just based on, living in my town and hanging out in the local cemetery that I pass every single day. So, Charles Addams was always found hanging out in cemeteries, and the inspiration for the Addams Family house are actually two houses in my town that you can still see today. People still live in the houses and everything, but it's just really cool. It's just that personal little thing that, really connects me and probably explains why I have such a deep-rooted love for the Addams Family. It's because the Charles Addams is actually from my town, and, he was, greatly inspired from, this town and all the cemeteries he hung out in to create and give us, this wonderful, cast of characters. So, all that said, I would definitely, check this movie out. A lot of fun. I mean, just a great gem from 1991. And if you guys really do dig this film, I would highly suggest checking out the 1993 sequel, Addams Family Values. Equally as fun. I mean, just hysterical fun. I think I would even go as far to say that probably in the second one, there's probably even more laugh-out-loud moments. So I would definitely highly check that one out. As always, guys, thanks again for tuning in to my 31 Frightening Days of Halloween Marathon, and you can bet tomorrow I'll be back with yet another review. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Frightener22.